Hello YouTube, Sam here from youtube.com/onlivegamer for the new Boston. And in this tutorial, we're going to continue working on the Paint program. And you can find this in the book, Beginning Microsoft Visual Basic 2008 by Theron Willis and Brian Newsom. Once again, I have to give credit to them for this. I'm just teaching you guys how to do it and going through the concepts. So if this doesn't look familiar to you, then you may want to move back and find the tutorial that you were just at. So we stopped right here on our select case graphics tool, and we set object graphics items equal to object graphics circle. So after we do that, let's just go ahead and end our select because we don't need anything else. It looks like it's already there. So we'll go ahead and come down below and select. So now what we need to do is just add that object to our array list. So we need to check if an item was actually returned. So if, well, not returned, if it's set equal to something that isn't null. So if graphics items or object graphics item is not nothing, then go ahead and do this. Now we're using a double negative here. So if it isn't nothing, or if it is something and not equal to null, then what we want to do is add that to our array list. So graphics items dot add, and we're going to add object graphics item. Let's see here. So you can see that it tells us right here that it may give us an error at runtime, but it won't because it checks to see if it isn't nothing. So let's say a possible way of it not equaling anything. If it goes to the select case and we haven't used circle pin, then object graphics item is not going to be set equal to anything. So it'll run this if statement and check to see if it isn't any, if it is something, then it'll add it to the list, and this will prevent an error from happening. Now we could also do this by using a try catch statement, but this way works just as well too. So now what we need to do is type me.invalidate. And you can see it says invalidates the specified region of the control, adds it to the control's update region, which is the area that will be repainted at the next paint operation. So basically what this means is that we're telling the program that PaintCanvas has been invalidated and that it needs to repaint itself. So it says something has changed, we need to update and repaint PaintCanvas because we're in the PaintCanvas class right here. So we invalidate it so that it will update our PaintCanvas control. So now that we've created everything, let's go ahead. We'll come into our form1.vb design, and you can see that all we have to do is we can right click on view code. You can see that we don't have anything inside of class form1 and we don't need anything. So we'll go ahead and run the program. Here's our paint VB. Looks like I was missing some stuff there. So let's come over here to our PaintCanvas.vb design, and we need to click on the lightning bolt to bring up some events. So the first event that we're going to look for is mouse down. So if the user clicks their mouse down, then what do we want to do? So let's see here, mouse down. So when the mouse is down, we're going to check to see which mouse they have, which button they have clicked. So if E dot button, so E is the event args, and it's a mouse event args. So with our mouse event args, we can check to see which button has been pressed. Now E can get a little confusing sometimes, and I completely understand if you don't fully, if you haven't fully grasped this yet. But later on, you'll start to pick it up, and it will come easier to you. So if E dot button equals mouse buttons dot left, then what do we want to do? Well, we want to call do mouse paint. A do mouse paint is going to take some arguments. So we're going to need a mouse event args. So you can see that PaintCanvas mouse down already has a mouse event args in that it has been created when you click the mouse down. So we'll just pass E to that. So the E that we're passing to that is this E right here. That happens when the person clicks their mouse down. So wherever their mouse clicks down, it's going to get the X position and the Y position of this E right here that is in the sub PaintCanvas mouse down. So if they move the mouse, then we also want to paint something. So we'll go to PaintCanvas.vb design, and we want the mouse move event. So let's find it here. So we'll double click on mouse move, and once again we need to create that if statement. So if e.button is equal to mouse buttons dot left, then what do we want to do? We want to do mouse paint and pass E to it. Now E is the mouse event args that happens whenever they click down. So when they move their mouse down, this E right here is going to get updated, so you can access the X and the Y position of the mouse by using the event arguments. So if they click down, it'll paint, and if they move the mouse, it will paint as well. So hopefully everything is up and running now. So now if we try to run it, you can see we've got paint.vb. Okay, one more thing here. We need to come into PaintCanvas.vb, and we need to find the paint event. So under the paint event, basically what paint does is it runs and it repaints the paint canvas. Now this may be a little confusing to you, but when you have this graphics object right here, or this paint event args, what you can do is you can draw to your control. So whenever paint canvas is painted, what we want to do is let's use a for each loop. So for each object graphics item as graphics item in graphics items, we want to go ahead and draw that to the control. So we'll type object graphics item dot draw, and then we'll do e dot graphics. Now we'll go ahead and run this, and then I'll come back and explain this to you. So here we have our paint VB, and you can see that we can draw, and it starts drawing on our circles and our lines. Now we've got this ugly flashing, and we'll learn how to fix that in the next tutorial. So basically what this does is we have a for each loop. So it's going to go through each item in our graphics items array list. So for every circle that is created, it is in this graphics items, and it has different values to it, such as the X position and the Y position that it can use. So we've got for each of the objects in our array list of type graphics items, what we want to do is use object graphics items dot draw, and you can see here we have our draw. It'll fill an ellipse with the black brush and use the current rectangle. So it's going to draw that, and it's going to use e.graphics. So we've got e as paint event args, and all paint event args have a graphics that we can use to draw stuff to the control. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Once you're done putting this code in, go ahead and move on to the next tutorial.